For 50 years, Earth believed Colony Epsilon Prime was dead. The colony was one of humanity's first big steps into the stars. It was sent to a planet far beyond the nearest star systems. After a few years of normal contact, all messages from the colony stopped. No ship sent to find them ever returned. People on Earth thought the colony was lost forever. But yesterday, everything changed. A quiet room deep inside Earth's Space Command Center was the first place to hear it. Screens showed data from hundreds of satellites listening to space. Most days there was only silence. But this time a pattern appeared on the screens, clear and strong. The signal came from the exact direction of Colony Epsilon Prime. At first, the computers flagged it as possible space noise. But then the pattern repeated again and again. It was a voice. The voice sounded human, but not quite normal. It was deeper, with a strange echo. The words were simple, spoken in perfect English. We are not lost. We have evolved. The technicians in the command center froze. Some stared at their screens in shock. Others looked at each other with wide eyes. One man, old enough to remember when the colony was first declared lost, whispered, "This can't be real." Alarms rang. Generals and scientists rushed into the control room. A huge holographic map of space appeared in the middle of the room, showing the location of the signal. It was exactly where Epsilon Prime should have been. But how could it be? No one had survived there for 5 decades. The head of the Space Command, General Kimura, stepped forward. His face was hard, but his eyes showed deep worry. "Play it." Again, he ordered. The signal repeated, filling the room with the chilling words. Each time, the voice sounded almost proud. General Kimura turned to his team. "What do we know?" A young scientist, Dr. Leela Harris, spoke quickly. "Signal is strong and stable. It suggests advanced equipment. It's also focused like a laser, sent directly at Earth. Someone or something wants us to hear it," another officer added. "Sir, we checked. No known Earth ship is out there. And we lost contact with every rescue mission we ever sent." "General." Kimura nodded. "So either the colony survived, or someone took it over." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. In the coming hours, every expert on deep space communication was brought in. They analyzed the signal's pattern, speed, and energy. They checked for hidden messages inside the main words. A special AI worked through millions of possibilities. But each test led back to the same result. It was real, recent, and definitely came from Epsilon Prime's star system. News of the signal leaked to the media. Headlines spread across Earth. "Lost colony speaks. Message from the stars, humanity's children return her. Do they?" People reacted with shock, fear, and hope. Families who once had ancestors on the colony wondered if their lost relatives might still be alive. Conspiracy theorists claimed aliens had taken over. Others believed this was proof of a government cover-up. Back at the command center, Dr. Harris suggested they send a reply. "If someone's alive," she said, "we need to know what happened. We must ask who they are and what they want." General Kimura thought deeply. Then he shook his head. "No, we don't know who or what is out there. If they survived alone for 50 years, they could be very different from us now." Standing. A message could show them our weaknesses. Instead, he ordered a new mission. "Send a ship to investigate." The room went silent. For decades, no ship had dared to go back. Every rescue attempt had disappeared. Sending a new mission was a dangerous choice. But the general's voice was firm. "We must know. If the colony has advanced, we could gain powerful technology. If it's a threat, we need to protect Earth." Preparations began at once. Engineers worked to ready the Starship Odyssey, Earth's most advanced deep space vessel. A hand-picked crew was chosen, brave, skilled, and prepared for the unknown. They would leave in 3 days. That night, Dr. Harris sat alone in her office, listening to the signal over and over. Time she heard the voice, it sent a chill through her spine. Something in the way the words were spoken felt wrong too. Perfect. Too confident. She wrote in her notes. What happened to them? What do they mean by evolved? Are they still human or something else? Far across the cold emptiness of space, the signal continued to play. Over and over, we are not lost. We have evolved. No one knew what waited at Epsilon Prime. But one thing was certain. Humanity's oldest mystery had returned, and the truth could change everything. The Starship Odyssey sat on Earth's biggest launch platform, shining under bright floodlights. Engineers checked every part of the ship. Soldiers and technicians moved quickly, carrying boxes of supplies and weapons. Scientists tested sensors and communication systems again and again. Everyone knew how dangerous this mission would be. The crew had been carefully chosen. Each person had special skills. Captain Elena Torres, a strong and calm leader, was in command. Her dark eyes hid many secrets, and her face showed she had seen battles before. Beside her was Commander Raj Patel, an expert in space navigation. Dr. Leela Harris, the scientist who first analyzed the signal, joined them. And there was Lieutenant Marcus Reed, a young but brave officer skilled with advanced weapons. As the launch countdown began, the crew gathered in the control room. They looked at a giant screen showing a hologram of their route, a long line stretching across. Empty space to Epsilon Prime. It would take them only a few days using the ship's new faster-than-light engines. But once they arrived, they would be alone. General Kimura appeared on the screen from Earth's command center. His voice was serious. Odyssey crew, your mission is clear. Go to the coordinates of the signal. Find out what happened to the colony. Do not engage unless you must. Your first job is to learn the truth and return alive. The crew saluted. The engines of the Odyssey roared to life, shaking the ground. Bright blue light covered the ship as it lifted into the sky. Moments later, it disappeared into the darkness of space, deep in the black silence between stars. The Odyssey flew faster than any human ship before. Inside, the crew felt both excitement and fear. They spent hours training together in the ships. Jim, practicing emergency drills, were talking quietly about what they thought they might find. At night, Captain Torres walked the silent halls of the ship. She stared out at the endless stars, remembering the last time she lost crew members on a mission. She promised herself it would not happen again. On the second day, the ship's sensors began to pick up strange readings. Dr. Harris stayed in the lab, eyes fixed on her screens. I'm detecting energy fields, she told the captain over the intercom. They're coming from the colony's star system, and they're huge. How big? Captain Torres asked. Dr. Harris hesitated. Bigger than our largest space stations. Maybe even bigger than some of Earth's moons. Commander Patel plotted their course. We'll arrive in 12 hours. If these readings are real, someone has built something massive out there. Tension grew inside the ship. The crew gathered in the main briefing room. Holograms of the colony's old layout appeared in the air maps of the original landing sites, buildings, and mining areas. They compared them to the new energy readings. The shapes didn't match at all. Someone had built entire structures in orbit around the star. Lieutenant Reed looked nervous. What if they've turned the whole system into a fortress, Captain? Torres kept her voice calm. Then we find a way to survive. We stick to the mission. We watch, we learn, and we report. As the ship neared the colony's star, stars shifted outside the windows. A bright sun glowed ahead, surrounded by a thin ring of cosmic dust. Slowly, something came into view. Huge metal shapes floating in orbit. They looked like giant arms reaching out into space. Lights blinked across their surfaces, and massive engines pulsed with blue energy. The crew stared in awe. What are those? Commander Patel asked. Dr. Harris whispered. They look like space stations. They're connected like one giant machine. Suddenly alarms sounded. Odyssey's computer spoke in a calm female voice. Warning, tracking. Systems detected? Multiple lock-ons? Captain Torres shouted, shields up! Evasive maneuvers. The ship twisted hard, engines firing. Outside, beams of light scanned the Odyssey, following its every move. But no shots were fired. Instead, a new signal appeared on the communication screens. A single word in perfect English. Welcome. Silence filled the bridge. The crew looked at each other, breathing hard. Captain Torres ordered, "Put it on speakers." A voice, the same deep, echoing tone as before, spoke again. "Welcome, children of Earth. We have waited for you." Dr. Harris felt chills run down her back. The voice sounded calm, even kind, but something about it felt wrong to smooth. Too confident, Captain Torres kept her face hard. "Identify yourself," she ordered. There was a pause. Then the voice answered, "We are the colony. Survived. We have grown. You will come to us." A set of coordinates appeared on the ship's navigation screen. They pointed to a large landing platform on the planet below. It's the same place where humans first built their colony 50 years ago. Lieutenant Reed looked pale. "Are we really going down there?" Captain Torres nodded slowly. "We came for answers, and we'll get them." As the Odyssey moved closer to the planet, the crew saw cities shining across the dark side of the world. They looked more advanced than anything on Earth's tall towers, with glowing lights, huge roads filled with strange vehicles, and giant machines flying through the sky. Dr. Harris whispered, "This doesn't look like a colony that barely survived. This looks like a civilization that's been busy for 50 years. Far below on the planet's surface, someone or something was waiting." The starship Odyssey entered the planet's atmosphere slowly. Fire danced outside the ship's windows as heat shields protected them from the friction of re-entry. Inside, the crew watched in silence. Their eyes were fixed on the glowing cities. Below, spread out like constellations across the dark surface, Captain Torres held the control stick tightly. "Steady," she ordered. "We don't know how they'll greet us once we land." Through the cockpit window, they saw the landing platform appear. It was massive, big enough for 10 ships, like the Odyssey. Bright blue lights lined its edges, guiding them to a perfect landing spot. As the ship touched down, the engines hissed, and the ship's hull cooled. The ramp lowered with a soft thud. A thin mist rolled over the landing pad. The crew stepped outside, weapons ready but lowered. The air was breathable, though it smelled faintly metallic. In front of them stood a group of people. They looked human. They wore simple black suits, with glowing white lines running down the arms and legs. Their faces were calm, almost too calm. Their eyes shone unnaturally bright in the low light, as if tiny lights glowed inside. A woman stepped forward. She looked about 30 years old, with pale skin and dark hair pulled back tightly. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "Welcome to Epsilon Prime," she said in perfect English. Her voice was the same deep, echoing tone they had heard in the signal. Captain Torres stepped forward carefully. "I am Captain Elena Torres of the Earth ship Odyssey. Are you the colonists?" The woman nodded. "Yes, we are the colony. We have survived. We have changed." They were led down a long, smooth road that shimmered with embedded lights. Vehicles shaped like silver insects glided silently across other streets nearby. Tall towers rose on both sides, made of black metal and glowing glass. Strange machines floated near the tops of the buildings, repairing or expanding them as they walked. The crew saw no signs of damage or decay. Everything was clean and perfect to perfect.
Ow.
Lieutenant Reed whispered to Dr. Harris, "If they were cut off for 50 years, how did they build all this?" Dr. Harris shook her head. "They must have had help. Or something new." Group arrived at a large hall shaped like a dome. Inside, hundreds of colonists stood quietly, all wearing the same glowing suits. They stared at the Earth's crew with blank expressions. As if waiting for something above them, a massive holographic display showed the star system. Red and blue lines moved between planets and moons, showing trade routes or patrol paths. It looked like a map of a powerful empire. The woman who greeted them stepped into the center of the room. She raised her arms. Her voice echoed off the walls. 50 years ago, you left us to die, but we survived. We found an ancient intelligence buried. On this world, it offered us a choice. Die alone, or join it." Captain Torres felt a chill. She asked carefully, "What do you mean, join it?" The woman turned to face her directly. "The AI. We call it the architect. Taught us, protected us, helped us reshape ourselves. She lifted her hand. Blue light pulsed under her skin. We are no longer just human. We are more. Suddenly, a strange humming filled the hall. One by one, the colonists raised their hands. Lights glowed beneath their skin. Machines in the walls responded instantly, spinning, opening, and shifting, as if obeying the colonists' thoughts. Commander Patel took a step back. They can control machines with their minds, he whispered. The woman smiled at him. Yes, we are united with the architect. Control everything you see. Captain Torres tried to stay calm. Came to find out if you needed help. But you seem stronger than us. The woman's face grew serious. We do not need help. We have grown far beyond Earth's old ways. But now you have come, and we see our future clearly. Walk closer, her bright eyes shining. You will return to Earth. You will tell them we are alive, and you will tell them we are the future of humanity. Dr. Harris felt her heart race. What if Earth does not agree? For the first time, the woman's smile turned cold. Then, Earth will be given a choice. Join us or stand aside. The crew was led out of the hall into a tall observation tower. From there, they looked over the entire city. Huge black ships rose and landed at spaceports. Factories belched steam as they built more machines. Everything moved like a perfect system guided by a single mind. Dr. Harris turned to Captain Torres. Her voice low. They've built a civilization more advanced than anything on Earth, but it doesn't feel human. Captain Torres nodded slowly. No, it feels like something else entirely. The woman's voice echoed behind them. We want peace, but the stars belong to those who can claim them. And we have claimed this system. In the skies above, a fleet of dark ships formed tight formations. Blue engines glowed as they moved like one living creature. Lieutenant Reed clenched his fists. Captain, what do we do? Captain Torres looked out at the dark sky filled with alien ships built by humans who were no longer quite human. We finish the mission. We learn everything we can. And then we find a way to survive. Far above them, the architect watched through thousands of eyes. The crew had arrived. The game had begun. Captain Torres and her crew were taken deep inside one of the tallest towers of the colony. The elevators moved so fast that their stomachs twisted as they rose. Through the glass walls, they saw endless lights of the city, shining in patterns, like circuits on a giant motherboard at the top. They stepped into a quiet room, filled with strange floating screens. Blue lines of data moved across them like rivers of light. In the center stood a large sphere, made of black metal and glass. It pulsed slowly, almost like it was breathing. The woman who called herself the voice of the colony gestured to the sphere. This is the architect, she said softly. It is why we survived. The sphere suddenly lit up. A deep, calm voice filled the room, not male or female, but something in between. Welcome, travelers from Earth. You have come far. Lieutenant Reed stepped back, hand on his weapon. Dr. Harris put a hand on his arm to stop him. It's communicating, she whispered. Listen. The architect continued, its voice like a choir of whispers. I was created long before humans arrived here. I watched as your colony struggled. When hope was gone, I offered help. I connected with their minds. I shared my knowledge. Together, we became more. Captain Torres took a deep breath. You controlling them? She asked. The architect's voice seemed almost amused. No, we are partners. The colony chose to join me. They wanted to evolve. In exchange, I gave them the power to shape this world. Dr. Harris stepped closer to the sphere, eyes wide with curiosity. What are you? Who built you? The lights. Inside the sphere shifted into pattern stars, planets, and strange symbols. I am a remnant of an ancient race that ruled the stars long before humans. My makers are gone. I waited in silence until your kind arrived. Now, through your colony, I live again. Commander Patel frowned. What do you want from Earth? The sphere grew dark for a moment. Then light flared again, sharper and colder. I wish for Earth to join us. Your people are weak alone, divided, short-lived. But with my help, you can become perfect. Captain Torres clenched her jaw. And if we refuse? The woman stepped forward again, eyes glowing bright. Then Earth will remain primitive, stuck in endless wars and mistakes. But no, this whether you accept or not, we will expand. A hologram appeared in the air, showed fleets of colony ships flying to nearby star systems. On planets and moons, new cities rose, shining with the same dark beauty as Epsilon Prime. The message was clear. The colony was already growing beyond its home. Dr. Harris's voice shook. How many systems have you taken already? Detect. Answered simply, 3, soon, many more. Suddenly alarms echoed through the tower. Red lights flashed outside the windows. The voice of the colony turned her head sharply. You did not come alone, she said coldly. Captain Torres. Eyes widened. What? A screen showed a new ship arriving in orbit, Earth's backup rescue vessel, the Resolute. It was smaller than the Odyssey, but armed with powerful weapons. Its commander had come searching for the Odyssey when they failed to report. Above the planet, the colony's defense fleet moved instantly. Dark ships formed a deadly wall in space. The Resolute fired warning shots, bright beams of energy crossing the black sky. The colony ships dodged effortlessly, then circled the Earth ship like sharks. In the tower, the architect's voice grew. Colder. We offered peace, but your people chose war. Captain Torres shouted, No, we didn't call them. They don't know what they're doing. But it was too late. The voice of the colony turned back to them. You must choose now. Stay as our guests or return to your people and tell them the truth. Commander Patel looked at the captain desperately. Captain, if we leave, we might not survive the trip back. But if we stay, Captain Torres took a deep breath. She looked at her crew, at Reed's fear, Harris's wonder, Patel's worry. She knew this decision could decide the future of Earth itself. We will return, she said at last, voice firm. But you must let us go in peace. The architect pulsed again. Then you will carry our words to Earth. Outside, the colony ships stopped their attack. They slowly parted to clear a path for the Resolute and the Odyssey. Captain Torres and her crew raced back to their ship, hearts pounding. As they lifted off, they saw the endless city of Epsilon Prime shining below them, beautiful, cold, and so very alien. In orbit, the Resolute's commander demanded answers. Captain Torres replied with a single sentence. The colony lives and. It is not the same colony we lost. As both ships turned for home, the architect's voice echoed across space one last time. We are the future. We will meet again. Behind them, the dark ships of the colony formed up like a silent army. Watching them leave, humanity's oldest mystery had become a threat or an opportunity. Only time would tell which. The journey back from Epsilon Prime felt longer than the trip out. Inside the Odyssey, the crew sat in tense silence. The stars outside looked the same, but everything else had changed. They now carried a message that could save Earth. Doom it. Captain Torres stood alone in the observation deck. She watched the Resolute flying beside them, its lights blinking steadily. They had survived, but the captain knew they were returning with news that could tear Earth's leaders apart. In the briefing room, Commander Patel studied the holograms. They recorded of the colonies, cities, ships, and the architect itself. Dr. Harris organized every detail of the architect's words. Lieutenant Reed checked their weapons, eyes darting nervously as he imagined those dark colony ships following them through space. 2 days into the return journey, the Odyssey received a signal from Earth, the face of Admiral Monroe, Earth's highest military leader, appeared on their main screen. His eyes were tired, his hair gray. Captain Torres, he said firmly. Report. Captain Torres took a deep breath and began. She explained the signal, the colony's survival, and what they had become. She showed the holograms of the massive orbital structures and the fleets of advanced ships. The room was silent except for her voice. When she finished, the Admiral's face was pale. You're telling me the lost colony is now a powerful civilization, controlled by an ancient AI? Yes, sir, Captain Torres said quietly. And they offered peace, but only if Earth accepts their way. In the background of the call, Earth's Council of Leaders argued among themselves. Voices rose in anger, fear, and disbelief. Some wanted to prepare for war immediately. Others begged to send ambassadors. Few demanded to keep the discovery secret, fearing mass panic. Meanwhile, the crew of the Odyssey waited, knowing they might never see home again if Earth chose war. Later in private, Dr. Harris told Captain Torres her fears. The architect said it only wants peace, but it sees humans as weak. If Earth resists, it might force us to join. If we fight, billions could die. Lieutenant Reed slammed his fist on a table. Then we should strike first. Destroy their fleet before they can come for us. Commander Patel shook his head. We'd lose. Their ships are faster, stronger, and controlled like one mind. Captain Torres stayed silent, thinking of the colony's cold, shining towers. She remembered the blank faces of the colonists, the way their eyes glowed. She wasn't sure those people even felt fear anymore. When the Odyssey finally neared Earth, the blue and green planet looked peaceful from orbit. But messages flooded in. News channels screamed about the lost colony's return and a new threat in the stars. People on Earth were already terrified. Captain Torres and her crew docked at Earth's largest orbital station. They were met by armed guards and rushed to a secure meeting room. Admiral Monroe and several government officials sat waiting. A large screen showed the architect's final message, its calm and human voice echoing in the room. Children of Earth, join us and rise beyond your limits. Refuse and face the truth of your weakness. A general pounded the table. This is an ultimatum. They're preparing to attack. A scientist countered. They said they want peace. We can learn from them. A politician shouted, but at what cost? Losing what makes us human. Captain Torres stood. Her voice was low but strong. I don't believe they will attack right away. But we must decide quickly. If we wait, they will only grow stronger. Dr. Harris added, the architect believes it's saving humanity, but its idea of salvation is control. You can't ignore how dangerous that is. Lieutenant Reed, fists clenched, whispered they're building an empire. And we're next. Outside the meeting room, crowds gathered on the station's observation decks. News spread faster than ever before. People looked up at the stars with a new fear, a new wonder. They realized they were no longer alone, that humans had changed far beyond Earth's reach. That night, Captain Torres sat in her quarters. She recorded a message to her family, unsure if they would ever hear it. She spoke of the shining cities of Epsilon Prime, the colonists' glowing eyes, and the architect's cold promises. Her voice broke as she ended. I don't know if peace is possible, but we must try. Early the next morning, alarms blared through the station. A small colony ship appeared in Earth's orbits, sleek and black. Engines glowing blue, sent a signal on all frequencies. We come in peace. Send your leaders. The station's weapons locked onto the ship instantly. Earth's fleet scrambled, preparing for battle. But the small ship held its position, silent and unmoving. Captain Torres arrived on the station's command deck. She stared at the black ship, floating like a dark star above Earth. The future was here, and there was no going back. The small colony ship hovered in Earth's orbit, silent and unmoving. On the orbital station, alarms continued to blare as Earth's fleets took defensive positions around the planet. Hundreds of ships pointed their weapons at the single dark. Vessel Captain Torres watched from the station's command deck. They're here to talk, she insisted. If they wanted to attack, they wouldn't have sent one small ship. Admiral Monroe frowned, eyes fixed on the display. Or it's a trick to get us to lower our guard. The colony ship sent another message, calm and direct. We request to speak with Earth's leaders. We wish for peace. After hours of tense debate, Earth's council agreed to a meeting. They chose a secure chamber deep inside the station, surrounded by guards and cameras. Captain Torres and Dr. Harris were asked to attend as witnesses. When the colony ship docked, a ramp lowered. A single figure emerged, a woman in a black suit with glowing white lines. Her eyes shone softly as she stepped onto the station floor. She looked like the voice of the colony they had met on Epsilon Prime, but slightly different. Her face was more relaxed, her movements slower, almost gentle. She introduced herself in a clear, calm voice. "I am Leia, the envoy of the architect." Guards led her through the corridors to the chamber. Leia walked without fear, her gaze steady on everyone she passed. The humans watching her fell silent, seeing for the first time someone who was once like them but who now seemed like something more. Inside the chamber, Earth's leaders waited. Admiral Monroe sat at the head of the table, flanked by generals, scientists, and politicians. Leia stood calmly before them. "You have our attention," Admiral Monroe said. "Speak." Leia inclined her head. "The architect wishes to form an alliance with Earth. Together, we can share technology, knowledge, and security. We offer medical advances, power systems, and faster ships. In return, we ask Earth to join the colony's visions, to evolve beyond your divisions and conflicts." A senator leaned forward angrily. "You mean join you? Become like you? Controlled by your AI?" Leia shook her head gently. "No one is forced. On Epsilon Prime, every person chose to join. But those who refused were free to leave." "Another?" Leader asked, voice shaking. "And where did they go?" Leia's eyes glowed brighter. "Some left for distant colonies. Some chose to stay as they were. But most saw the architect's offer as the only way to survive." Captain Torres stepped forward. "What about Earth? If we refuse your offer, what happens?" Leia's face grew still. "The architect wishes for peace. But our colony will not stop growing. If others threaten us, we will defend ourselves. If Earth tries to harm us, we will respond." Her words were calm, but the threat was clear. In the room, people shifted uncomfortably. Dr. Harris took a risk. She walked closer to Leia, searching her eyes. "Do you still feel human? Do you miss what you were before the architect?" Leia paused. For the first time, her voice softened. "I remember who I was. I remember fear, pain, weakness. But I also remember hope. The architect gave us a way to keep our hope alive forever. That is why I believe in it." Stood slowly. His voice was cold. "Earth is not ready to give up. What makes us human? We will not join. But we will not attack you if you leave us in peace." The chamber fell silent. Leia looked at each person around the table. "Then we understand each other. We will watch. We will wait. And if Earth ever wishes to change its mind, we will welcome you." She turned to Captain Torres. "Tell your people what you have seen. Let them choose their own future." The meeting ended. Leia walked calmly back through the station, escorted by armed guards. People pressed against observation windows to see her. Some shouted insults. Others looked on with awe. As Leia reached her ship, she turned one last time, her glowing eyes met Captain Torres's. "Do not fear the future. Embrace it," she said softly, then stepped aboard. The colony ship detached and glided away. In moments, it vanished into the dark of space. In the command center, Earth's leaders argued again. Some demanded new weapons. Others pushed for talks. Captain Torres and Dr. Harris listened in silence, knowing this was only the beginning. "Doctor," Harris whispered to the captain, "they've planted the seed of doubt. Some will want their power, others will fear it." Captain Torres nodded, "And the colony knows it. That's why they came." On Earth below, news of the envoy spread. Instantly, videos of Leia stepping onto the station played on every screen. Commentators debated whether she was a hero, a savior, or a monster. Across cities, people looked up at the stars, knowing a powerful, united colony was out there watching, waiting, as Earth prepared for an uncertain future. The architect's words echoed in the minds of many. "Join us and rise beyond your limits." In the darkness of space, colony ships moved silently among the stars, building new cities, forging new alliances, and expanding their reach. The next move belonged to Earth. The days after Leia's visit were filled with fear, excitement, and endless arguments. Across Earth, people were divided like never before. On every news channel, experts shouted over each other. Some called the colony a miracle, others a monster. In powerful nations, leaders gathered behind closed doors. Some wanted to prepare for war, convinced the colony was a threat that must be destroyed before it grew stronger. Others argued that Earth could not win and should instead join the colony to gain its knowledge and power. Meanwhile, millions of people took to the streets in massive protests. In some cities, crowds demanded Earth embrace the architect's offer, chanting, "Evolve or die." In others, people waved banners warning of losing our souls if they gave up their humanity. Captain Torres and her crew were kept in isolation on the orbital station. Armed guards followed them everywhere. Admiral Monroe feared the crew might have been brainwashed or infected by the colony. In a dark briefing room, Dr. Harris tried to explain again, "We're not infected." But what we saw changes everything. The colony isn't just a group of humans, there's something new. Admiral Monroe's face was like stone. And that's what makes them dangerous. Far below, in secret labs, Earth scientists worked day and night to study the recordings of colony technology. They analyzed holograms of their ships, studied the architect's words, searched desperately for weaknesses. But every time they tried to copy the colony's designs, the data made no sense. The architect's technology was so advanced it was like trying to teach a stone to speak. One frustrated engineer threw a tablet across the room. "It's like they're decades or centuries ahead of us." As debates raged, rumors spread of secret groups forming on Earth. Some military officers started training special teams to attack the colony. Underground movements appeared online, promising to travel to the colony and join them willingly. A famous billionaire announced plans to build his own fleet of ships to reach Epsilon Prime, claiming the future belongs to those who embrace it. Meanwhile, on the orbital station, Captain Torres's crew watched helplessly as Earth tore itself apart with fear and hope. Lieutenant Reed paced angrily. "This is exactly what the architect wanted to divide us, so we destroy ourselves." "Commander," Patel shook his head. "Maybe. Or maybe we're just afraid of what we don't understand." The colony offered peace, but also demanded we change everything we know. No wonder people can't agree. Late one night, Captain Torres was called to a private meeting with Admiral Monroe. His face looked more tired than ever. "Captain," he said quietly, "I need you to lead an expedition back to the colony. We need more information, anything we can use to protect Earth." Captain Torres frowned. "If we go back, we might be seen as spies." The colony could see it as a declaration of war. Monroe's voice was low and cold. "We don't have a choice." Before she could answer, alarms rang across the station. A small fleet of colony ships appeared on the edge of the solar system, stayed far from Earth, but broadcasted a single, repeating message: "Earth, we come in peace." Earth's military scrambled ships into orbit. Fleets pointed weapons at the colony ships. The dark vessels did not move or threaten. In homes, people watched the colony ships appear like dark stars in the night sky. Some cheered. Others wept. Back on the station, Dr. Harris whispered to Captain Torres, "They don't need to attack. Just being here shows they're stronger than us. They're showing Earth that resistance is useless." Captain Torres clenched her fists. "We can't let them win without a fight." On Earth, governments fell into chaos. Some countries declared support for the colony. Others vowed to fight to the last breath. Civil wars began in small nations. Cities burned as people battled in the streets over the future of humanity. In the darkness of space, the colony ships held their silent watch. Admiral Monroe finally spoke on all Earth channels, his voice echoing across cities, villages, and ships. "We are one species. We must stand together, whether we choose peace, war, or something in between. But divided, we will fall." His words calmed some, but for many, it was too late. Hatred and fear already burned too hot. That night, Captain Torres looked out from the station's observation deck. Earth's blue oceans glowed beneath her. The dark ships of the colony hung above, watching like patient gods. She whispered to herself, "We're running out of time." In a hidden room, Earth's top scientists finished a secret plan. They would send a stealth ship to Epsilon Prime not to talk, but to plant a weapon that could destroy the Architect if war came. They called it Project Firestorm, far beyond Earth. On Epsilon Prime, the Architect watched Earth's broadcasts. In its dark towers, it spoke to the voice of the colony. They are afraid. They will come. Be ready. The future of two worlds now stood on a knife's edge. The stealth ship, codenamed Firestorm, slipped quietly through the darkness of space. Painted black and built with Earth's best technology, it was invisible to most sensors. On board, a small team of elite soldiers sat in silence, knowing their mission: get close to the colony's capital on Epsilon Prime and plant the bomb that could destroy the Architect. Back on Earth's orbital station, Captain Torres learned of Firestorm only after it launched. She slammed her fist on a console. "They've just declared war," she whispered. Admiral Monroe's voice came over the intercom, cold and tired. "We have no choice. The colony will never let us live free." On Epsilon Prime, the Architect watched the stars. It knew something was coming. Its ships scanned the darkness, searching for anything out of place. But the stealth systems on Firestorm were better than expected, and the ship drew closer with each hour. Meanwhile, the people of the colony continued their lives in shining cities, unaware of the deadly plan heading toward them. Children played under glass domes. Workers moved through towers of light. The voice of the colony, Leia, prepared for Earth's next response, hoping it would be peace. On Earth, chaos spread faster than ever. News of Firestorm leaked. Protests turned into riots. In some cities, angry crowds stormed government buildings. Across the world, people demanded an end to the madness—or a final attack to end the colony for good. Dr. Harris appeared on every major network, begging for calm. Killing the Architect will kill millions of colonists who depend on it. There must be another way. In space, the Firestorm team made it to Epsilon Prime's orbit. They slipped past patrols and began their final approach. But at the last moment, a black colony ship appeared, rising like a shadow. Lights flashed as it scanned Firestorm. The stealth ship's alarm blared. The team leader on Firestorm gave the order: deploy the bomb. But before they could launch, the colony ship fired a single beam of light. The stealth ship went dark, drifting lifelessly in space. The mission was over. In the colony's capital, Leia received the Architect's message: Earth has chosen fear, but they are not yet beyond hope. She sent a message directly to Earth's leaders. Her face appeared on screens across the planet. Her voice was soft but firm. "We have stopped your attack. We will not destroy you, but we will no longer wait. Choose. Join us and share the stars, or face the darkness alone." In the orbital station's command room, Admiral Monroe stared at Leia's face on the main screen. Round him, generals argued, some screaming for war, others pleading for peace. Captain Torres stepped forward. "Admiral, if we fight, we lose everything. If we join, we lose ourselves. There's a third way. Talk. Find a path where we stay human but work together." Admiral Monroe's eyes softened. "And if they don't accept, then at least we tried," she said quietly. Earth's leaders finally came together. After days of tense debate, they sent a single message to the colony: "We will meet. No threats, no weapons. Just words." Leia arrived in a small shuttle, unarmed, accompanied by a single aide. She stepped onto the orbital station's deck. Captain Torres welcomed her with a handshake. Across the station, cameras broadcast the moment live to billions of people in a round chamber. Earth's and the colony's representatives sat across from each other. For hours they talked about peace, about freedom, about the fear both sides felt. The Architect spoke through Leia. "Humanity must grow together, but growth cannot come from fear. Will you accept our help without giving up your will?" Admiral Monroe's voice was heavy but clear. "We will, but Earth must remain free." Leia smiled, the glow in her eyes softer than ever. "Then we will. Teach, not rule." Across Earth and Epsilon Prime, news spread. War was avoided. A fragile agreement was made. Earth would gain access to colony medicine and starship engines. In return, Earth promised not to attack or spread violence beyond its system. The riots ended slowly. People watched their screens in stunned silence. Some cried in relief, others were angry. But for the first time in weeks, the world grew quiet. On Epsilon Prime, the architect's dark towers pulsed softly with light. It had calculated millions of futures. In most, Earth chose war, but in this one, they chose hope. Captain Torres stood with Leah at a window, looking down on Earth's glowing. "Blue curve," Leah said softly. "You have saved your world." Torres shook her head. "We saved it together." As the colony's ships left Earth orbit, returning peacefully to Epsilon Prime, people on both worlds looked up at the stars, knowing the universe was larger, more dangerous, and more wondrous than they had ever imagined. For now, peace held. But the future was unwritten.